Okay, here we go. To reinstall this, you're going to need a slave pin. The shank of this reamer just happens to be 3/8 of an inch, which is that hole size. If you use too small a slave pin, it won't properly orient the sear to the hole, and things are going to go bad. If it's too big, you just won't be able to get in the hole. Insert the sear, line it up the hole, put the reamer in. So now the sear is actually hinging off the reamer or your slave pin. The bushing, one end of the bushing has a small radius or chamfer on the end. That's the start side. Draw the reamer back just enough that you can get the bushing started. Okay? Now you're going to have to hold the reamer in position and drive this into place. Once you get it into the sear body, you can remove the slave pin, take your tool, and finish tapping it in the rest of the way. Tap it too far, that's not good. You got to tap it back and get it to where it's just lined up, because if you get it too far one way or too far the other, it will stick proud of that surface and you will not be able to get the lower on. So you've got to tap it and get it just where you want it. But you have to do it correctly. Now, in order to reinstall the trigger, you first, this bar will pivot into the wrong place. Have it in the lower position, drop a bushing on. Then your spring, and if you'll notice the spring goes all the way to the end of that, you have to compress the spring, put the other bushing on, place the tail of that spring guide into the tail of the sear, and line the hole of the trigger up with the hole in the trigger stand. Put the pin in. That pin goes in pretty easy if you've done your job and it's lined up. What I highly suggest is that you make sure the mechanism works properly. You can pull the charging handle back. You can see that the sear engages. You get proper trigger function. Everything works. I would do that before I put the handle back on. To put the handle back on, again, I would put my finger there, place this down behind the handguard, and tap it in place. Now, if all goes well, the holes will line up and it's simply a matter of dropping the pins in. Okay? If the pin is not down all the way, not with something metallic, but with a rubber mallet or a piece of wood, you can gently tap it down. The safety should drop in the hole. If the safety doesn't, keep bouncing this around with your hand until the safety drops in. You don't want the safety to be bound up. It won't cause malfunction, but there's no reason to put it together all bound up. Then, holding the safety all the way down so that you can see the groove in the pin on the other side, put the little spring clip in the groove, rotate it, push down so that it can go behind the head of this front pin, and then wiggle it until it pops up under the head of that pin. And that's it.